Sudowoodo has been a historically solid Pokemon throughout GSC. It was always an anti-metagame Pokemon, being one of the most popular Pokemon in the Mr. Mime metagame, having an extremely useful normal resistance while posing an offensive threat in return with Curse, Rock Slide and Self-Destruct. It was most popular of the normal resists, since it had the best special defense and was merely 2 times weak to water and grass, unlike the 4 times weak Graveler. In the Raichu metagames, it was alright, but it wasn't used much due to the prominence of the waters, and it also faced more competition with Graveler this time around. When Raichu and the waters were banned, Sudowoodo returned to greatness early on, being arguably one of the best Pokemon in modern GSC. It was easy to fit on teams and consistently useful, being near the top of the viability rankings. As time has gone on, though, Sudowoodo has experienced a small decline. It's still quite good, but it is no longer one of the best Pokemon in the metagame, instead being an A- tier kind of mon. The tier has gotten more fast paced, and Sudowoodo's flaws have been more exploited as time has gone on. It is weak to all of ground, fighting, and worst of all, water. Octillery, being one of the best Pokemon in GSC, is very unideal for Sudowoodo, since Sudowoodo can't do much with it without exploding. Nonetheless, Sudowoodo is still pretty good, so I will analyse it more. The most useful trait Sudowoodo brings to the table is its resistance to normal. GSC is dominated by normals like Fearow and Curse Wigglytuff, and Sudowoodo is one of the few answers to them. Sudowoodo also resists explosion, meaning it is one of the few Pokemon to not instantly die to explosion from Pineco and Weezing. Sudowoodo has numerous advantages over Magnemite and Graveler, the 2 other common normal resists. Sudowoodo is physically bulkier and not 4 times weak to ground, like Magnemite, and has better special defense and a lack of a 4 times water weakness compared to Graveler. Sudowoodo's typing also means it resists fire and poison, making it a good check to Rapidash, Ninetales, Gloom, and Weezing. Offensively, Sudowoodo has a high attack stat and access to Rock Slide and Earthquake, which is an unresisted stab combination in GSC that hits several top Pokemon super effectively, such as Xatu, Weezing, Pineco, Fearow, and Ninetales. Sudowoodo's main offensive traction, though, is Self-Destruct. Sudowoodo is able to trade very well with Self-Destruct, since it threatens normal resist with Earthquake and is almost impossible to OHKO back. Sudowoodo can boost its Self-Destruct further with Curse, which makes it better at KOing opposing Curse users when they are boosted. Against Curse Wigglytuff, for example, Sudowoodo can win the Curse War by setting up to the max and KOing Wigglytuff with a +5 Self-Destruct. Self-Destruct Sudowoodo is one of the best ways to punch holes in more defensive teams, since it can easily set up on Pokemon like Ninetales and Wigglytuff, and then remove a key threat from those teams. Against Xatu plus Dugtrio Spikes, the most common playstyle in the tier, Sudowoodo is a lot worse since they have multiple Pokemon that can threaten it, so it is best off just exploding as something like Octillery or Dugtrio switches in. Sudowoodo shares a lot of common similarities with Weezing, with them both being physically bulky Pokemon that can use explosion moves, so they often tend to team up and form double boom cores that can be hard to stop. So yeah, Sudowoodo is a pretty good, and in my opinion underrated threat these days in GSC, but there are some issues holding it back. Its typing gives it good resistances, but it also gives it weaknesses to water, ground, and fighting. As mentioned before, it can't do much to Octillery without exploding on it, and if you use explosion too early, then you don't have Sudowoodo around to beat normal types after. This means that Sudowoodo isn't very good to Xatu plus Dugtrio offenses, since they almost always run Octillery and Dugtrio. Sudowoodo is also incredibly slow, and its special defense makes it shaky against Pokemon like Xatu. Since Sudowoodo doesn't use rest, it is also vulnerable to getting worn down throughout longer games.